The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. Before we get started, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, share button, all of that, because all of that helps the reach and the growth of the channel. And for everything that you all do, I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you all very much. All right, we're going to get started pretty shortly. Quick roll call. We got our sister Q2Ys in the building. How are you, beloved? We have Grape Shot in here. Sun Kissed by the Most High. Our brother Hurricane IQ. DSMS. I can't really see your full name, but you know. I'm gonna say DS. DS is in here. Jewel is in here. Our good brother Torian Rain is in here. Beloved Royal Me is in here. Devin is in here. So we got a lot of people in here. I see you, Denise. We have a lot of people in here. Now, we're going to be covering a bit. We're going to be covering quite a bit, all right? So since there's a lot I want to cover with this, we're going to get started. But before we do that, I want to say thank you. We just had a 30% off sale this Friday. Thank you so much to everybody who bought in the sale, everybody who made their orders or whatever the stuff is. Their orders are getting prepared for them now. So shout out to all of you guys who had, major orders and everything. Shout out to you all for that. I appreciate that. All right. Now, Jersey City is in here. I see you, Jersey City. Yes, exactly. Make sure you hit that like button. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Derek Chauvin, whatever. So we're going to go a little back. Everybody knows about his situation in jail by this time, but we're going to go back to his trial. So prior to his trial, he was trying to go for an appeal again. Now, the thing is that he's been trying to appeal his conviction really ever since he was sentenced. Ever since he was sentenced, he's been trying to overturn his conviction. So there's a couple of things that I think that we should look up. Is going to be very interesting. Now, before we do that, of course, we got to be safe. So here we go. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, so there's been like this media thing where they've been trying to gas up. There's this documentary coming out, or I guess it's come out. And actually, Kid Gravity, shout out to him. He did a review on this documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis. And that's about the George Floyd and the uprising and stuff like that. So we had a lot of people trying to build up, I guess, momentum for his appeal. And one of the people who've been doing that is none other than Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson he made this case. Now, this was dated literally over a month ago. This was before the appeal was denied, and this was before the situation with him in jail. Now, the white side, the white ring media, the alt-right media, they've been trying to kind of build up some steam and promote this documentary, this fake documentary, trying to, I guess, give him a push for his appeal. So we're going to listen to this. Lord. And then he has a guest towards the end to make things worse.
Of the unvaccinated, now that we know that Ukraine is not actually winning the war against Russia, it could be time to revisit some of the other slogans we've been assured are true and ordered to repeat. Are they in fact true? Did, for example, a racist white cop actually murder a man called George Floyd, a civil rights leader? in Minneapolis on Memorial Day of 20.
So he right there, he calls George Floyd a civil rights leader. There's not a single black person, period, who refers to George Floyd as a civil rights leader. But here he goes mocking George Floyd, and that's just one thing.
2020. Now, we've been told that happened, told it relentlessly for more than 3 years. So at this point, we've been told it so much that pretty much everybody seems to believe it. And because everyone does kind of believe it, a small group of people has been allowed to make massive changes to American society. They include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing.
Hold on. Before you guys get to this, he's saying, and I think that this was crazy, what he says. It might make you laugh, actually, to be honest. It made me laugh when I listened to it. He's saying because majority of people believe that George Floyd was murdered, majority of people believe that a small amount of people have been making massive changes to American society. So listen to what he considers to be massive, and of course this is negative, massive changes to American society that he's saying that America's went through because of the George Floyd situation.
To believe it, a small group of people has been allowed to make massive changes to American society. They include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police, adding a new federal holiday to the calendar called Juneteenth, the ceasing of hiring all white men in corporate America, and of course, significantly, they also sent a cop called Derek.
So he says the massive changes, he literally said the massive changes to American society is decriminalizing stealing. That's a lie. Stealing is still very much illegal. It was not decriminalized. Now they only say that in reference to black people who are caught looting or whatever the case is. Now, the white people who are doing that, they never show any video of that. They never show any footage of that. I knew for a fact Torian was going to say something about Juneteenth. Listen, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police. There's no record to indicate that the police have been defunded as a result of the George Floyd protests. And Juneteenth, he's literally tripping on Juneteenth, the massive changes to American society, Juneteenth being a federal holiday. That's one of the massive changes. Okay. That, to be totally honest, we didn't really ask for. That's number one. Number two, does Juneteenth hurt anybody? Does Juneteenth really change anything? Because it was being celebrated before it was a national holiday. Does it really change anything? A day off for some people, but besides that, it doesn't change anything. And then he's saying, he literally just said, ceasing hiring all white men in corporate America. Did you guys hear that part? Maybe the Juneteenth thing might have had you guys laughing. You might have missed that. He says America doesn't hire white men in corporate America anymore because of George Floyd. So this is just, he's just lying at this point. Just the credibility out the damn window. Just ain't none. Just no credibility whatsoever. And we're not even a minute in. Now, there's a couple of things that I'm going to play with this when I'm not going to listen to the whole 13 something minutes of it, but just that part alone, you can already tell this man is just off the rails.
Chauvin to prison for more than 40 years. He would be the racist white devil who murdered George Floyd. But the question is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively, thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota. The case was brought by a prosecutor there called Amy Sweezy. She's suing her boss. So the case is not actually about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin, but it tells you an awful lot about both of them. In her deposition, which you should read, Amy Sweezy describes a conversation that she had with the county medical examiner, Andrew Baker, right after George Floyd died. Quote, I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy on Mr. Floyd. Sweezy recalls all this under oath in the deposition. Quote, he called me later in the day on that Tuesday And he told me that there were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. Oh. In other words,
Okay. First off, they're using the word new. They've been using that same exact precise argument for the last 3 years. That's been their go-to argument literally for the last 3 years, that the autopsy said da 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 da. Listen, if somebody is having an asthma attack and one person wraps their arms around the other person and strangles them, they can't say, well, hold that, hate on. He had asthma before I choked him, so it wasn't me who choked him, it was the asthma. So you guys know, you don't necessarily, I'm gonna pause this for a second. I'm gonna take this off for a second. You don't have to have an injury to your neck to choke. If you're eating food and you're choking on the food, is your neck injured? Your neck is not injured. Is your neck damaged in any way? Are your lungs damaged in any way? When people go into the pool and they drown in the pool, is their neck damaged? Not really. Is their are their lungs damaged? Their lungs aren't damaged. Their neck isn't damaged. That you can still suffocate and have a lack of oxygen without your physical body being damaged. So the autopsy showing that his neck didn't have no severe injury to it doesn't mean that the compression on his neck didn't slow his breathing down to the point where he couldn't breathe and die. And that's what everybody knows. So I'm just going to go back. In
other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He died instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year. The medical examiner clearly understood that and, in fact, articulated it. And Sweezy explains. He said to me, she recalls in the deposition, Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on? And then he said, quote, this is the kind of case that ends careers. In other words, everyone lied about it from the very beginning. The people who knew the truth hid the truth and allowed the revolution to proceed. Now they've been exposed. Now we know the truth. What happened?
He's saying, now, so you know, this man is presenting this as if they did not literally or have not been literally making the same exact argument for the last 3 years. Literally for the last 3 years, they've been making this the exact same argument. So we don't have to circle around and deal with this necessarily. So I'm going to fast forward because he has a guest on, and his guest happens to, of course, they got a token Negro up on here. So we're going to have to hear what he has to say. Brace yourselves. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Don't do this. All right, here we go. Come on now. Okay, let me hold on, let me say something. I don't know why it's here we go with that. Refresh the page real fast.
know that it was not, in fact,
the mafia and organized crime. They humiliate black people. They demoralize them. It's a Marxist construct. They demoralize their people. They beat them down. They tell them that they're victims. Well, it was Martin Luther King Jr. that said.
Now, this dude literally starts taking shots at Martin Luther King. That's the point where, because otherwise I would just skip this video, but that's something that I thought was very interesting.
They tell you to pull yourself
now up. What the reason why I find this interesting is because years ago, everybody used to, especially the alt-right, the right side, right ring, whatever you call, the Fox News crowd of the media, they used to love Dr. King. They used to be like, well, Dr. King said he didn't see race. Dr. King said you shouldn't judge anybody by their color. You should judge them only by the content of their character. They used to use Dr. King and throw Dr. King in our face. And now that we have essentially reclaimed the image and legacy of Dr. King, now they don't like Dr. King anymore. Now, every time they bring up Dr. King, now we're sitting up there talking about how Dr. King was pushing for reparations. Now they don't like Dr. King anymore. Notice how they used to, every single year was, well, Dr. King said, you know, change will come and we will overcome, and white kids and black kids holding hands and eating ice cream together at a picnic, and everything is racially blind because of Dr. King and his noble sacrifice. Then we started speaking on the true legacy of Dr. King, and then they started being quiet. Now they're just essentially dissing Dr. King. Now that's what they're doing.
By your bootstraps. Well, how can you pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you're bootless?
Hold on, let me take it back. I'm gonna see if I can take it.
One of the main things they do, like the mafia and organized crime, they humiliate black people. They demoralize them. It's a Marxist construct. They demoralize their people. They beat them down. They tell them that they're victims. Well, it was Martin Luther King Jr. that said, they tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, how can you pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you're bootless? You know, he told us we were bootless. You know, you have black preachers, and you know about my iron triangle, the black preacher, the black politician, the black civil rights worker. They go into the black community. Consistently, you're a victim. You're oppressed. The country hates you. Well, see, I look at them and I say, I'm a black man, but I cannot be oppressed. You know why? Because I'm a child of God. I'm an heir of Jesus Christ. I cannot be a victim. Why? Because I'm an heir of Jesus Christ. I'm a child of God. I cannot be a victim. See, they tell these people to go against their religion.
He said because he's an heir of Jesus Christ, so he cannot be a victim. Because he's a child of God, he can't be a victim.
A basic ideology, because most black men say they're Christians, right? But then they walk around saying, I'm oppressed, I'm a victim, I'm afraid. 365 times in our Bible, they tell us to fear not. Yet they walk around saying they're afraid in the United States of America. LeBron James said he's afraid. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said he's afraid. Kaepernick said he's afraid. Well, I'm a black man in America, and I'm not afraid of a damn thing. I don't ask for permission in my own house. America is my home. So as they walk around here crying, talking about, I'm frightened, I'm afraid, look, I can't.
I don't know if you guys could see it, but when he says America is my home, Tucker almost wanted to laugh. I'm going to take it back a slight little bit and see Tucker stopped himself from laughing at his guest when he said, America is my home. Let me look it back. Let me take it back a little bit. Look at how serious he tries to make his face. And then when he says that, he stops himself from laughing.
He's afraid. Well, I'm a black man in America, and I'm not afraid of a damn thing. I don't ask for permission in my own house. America is my home. So as they walk around here crying, talking about, I'm frightened, I'm afraid, I can't make it, please help me, I tell them they stink in my nostrils. They're an affront to God. The flip side of white male intimidation during the civil rights was also black male cowardice. They laid down and let them beat them, slap them around, rape their wives and their children. Well, no, not me, never me. I'm a free man. I live in the United States of America. They say it's an honor to be, that there's white supremacy and that white people have some type of privilege. Well, as I said before, it is a privilege to be white. but it's also a privilege to be black, and it's a privilege to be an American, and it's really a privilege to be a Christian in the United States of America, the greatest country on the face of this earth. And they're not going to make a George Floyd out of me. I stand up strong. I look them in the eye, and I say, I'm a free man. My freedom comes from God. It's an unalienable right given to me by him. You cannot touch it, and if you try it, I got two things that'll get you off of me: Jesus and my 38. Come try me out.
So the Democratic Party used.
Yo. This, and I showed you, I'm showing you this to show you, this is literally how sad they are. They're pulling out guests out of nowhere. This man is not talking about the case. He brought him on to talk about George Floyd. He literally brought him on to talk about George Floyd. And this man is instead speaking on being free because he's a Christian. And because just because he's a Christian means he cannot be a victim, even though that you can be a victim. You can be a victim and be Christian. I don't know where he read the wrong Bible or something like that. The Bible doesn't say because you are a Christian means you cannot be a victim. If you know what the definition of victim means, let me get to some of the super chats because there's some other stuff that I want to talk about as well too. So we're going to get to the super chats real quick from Jerry. Jerry Bidford says, I like that sicker Carlson. I like that sicker Carlson. Okay, well, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. The fundraiser says, when was America ever lied for black people in America and hid a narrative? That's the question. If anything, they would have put the information out sooner. Exactly. America has never lied on behalf of a black man ever. Or black people, black man, black woman, anybody. Never. Okay. They're saying this is new information. We know now. This is literally their same argument. They're repeating their same argument. Their argument is very bad. I'm gonna get to that. Then it says, another one from the fundraiser, get those biscuits out. Look, this man he's trying. He got a book he's trying to promote. He's trying, but he's not doing anything. Thank you very much for the super chats. Now I want to get to some of the reactions that we have here. So looking at that was their promotion before the trial. No wonder his trial did not go well. So we're going to look at this. This comes from Forbes. This was 7 days ago. Zoom in just a tad bit. It says the Supreme Court announced Monday it will not consider the appeal of Derek Chauvin, the Minnesota police officer who was convicted of killing George Floyd and who argued that protests sparked by George Floyd's death made the jury biased against him. Now, that's his argument. The jury was biased against him. It wasn't the fact that he was, caught on camera or anything, but it was the jury being biased against him. It says, key facts, in his appeal, Chauvin claimed his constitutional right to a fair trial was violated. So he's complaining that his constitutional right to a fair trial was violated. Damn. It continues to say, in announcing that they would not take Chauvin's case, the justice did not provide any further comment on their decision. Well, he's been trying over and over and over and over again. They're sick of him at this point. Because the thing is, he keeps coming back with the same argument. It wasn't fair. They didn't do me right, man. Everybody was against me. Now, I think it's kind of like irony how even though his trial was more than fair, and we're going to get to his defense just to show you how fair his trial was, we're going to get to some of the arguments made in his defense. But black people in this country have a notorious history of having unfair, unconstitutional trials where all of the jury members are biased against them all of the time. And when we talk about that, it falls on deaf ears. So it's interesting to see the Derek Chauvin claim that, even though that's very, very far from the truth. Now it goes on to say, Chauvin's lawyer argued that jurors in this case had an incentive to side against Chauvin to, quote, prevent further rioting in the community and to avoid potential threats to them and their families. Chauvin's attorneys said during the argument, according to USA Today, threats to them and their families. Nobody was threatening the jury. Nobody was all like, if you don't convict Chauvin. Nobody was doing that. Nobody was doing that. Okay. So then it goes to, the background of all of this stuff. Those are the key facts. So now we're going to go into his defense, because he's saying he didn't get a fair trial. And I'm going to show you some of the 3 key points. These are the 3 key arguments his defense made for his quote unquote fair trial that he claims he didn't get. The argument number 1, and these arguments, so you guys know, these arguments contradict each other. These people were literally throwing everything in the kitchen sink, everything at the wall to see what sticks. Their arguments contradicted each other. They scrapped the first argument and were like, okay, well, we're going on to a totally different argument. Listen to the 3 defenses, the 3 main ones, because they made a bunch of them. It's like every day they had a new reason. So it says the other cause theory. This was their first theory. The other cause, what is it? The defense's primary, this is their first argument, their main argument. The defense's primary argument is that Floyd's death was not due to Chauvin's actions, but happened for other medical reasons. The defense was, and the defense has emphasized Floyd's drug use, his initial resistance to officers, and his pre-existing heart problems. Okay, so of course that's the fentanyl thing. That's their big argument. That's the thing that they keep saying was the main reason. That's the reason, right? It says, quote, their evidence will show that Mr. Floyd died of a cardiac arrhythmia. What's that word? Arrhythmia. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but y'all know what I mean. Cardiac arrhythmia that occurred as a result of hypertension. His coronal disease. His coronal is Lord. Medical words be twisting my words up. Coronary disease. His coronary disease. The injection of methamphetamine and fentanyl and the adrenaline flowing through his body, all of which acted to further compromise an already compromised heart. So that was their argument. That was their big argument. All right. Okay. It says Nelson, which was his defense attorney, said that was their first argument. I'm not going to read the whole thing because we got more to cover. So now when that argument didn't stick, they had another one. The force is unattractive theory. Okay, so let's look at the other theory, the other defense they tried to make. It says this theory argues that police use of force can look horrifying on bystander video, but it's a necessary part of the job of police officers. Okay, it says you will learn that Derek Chauvin did exactly what he had been trained to do for over the course of his 19-year career, Nelson said in an opening statement. The use of force is not attractive, but is a necessary component of policing. So they're saying that Derek Chauvin putting his knee on George Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes, even though for like 4 or 5 of those minutes, George Floyd was completely unconscious. He was saying he couldn't breathe before, and for 4 or 5 of those minutes, he was unconscious, and Derek didn't get off. He didn't inch off one bit. He was handcuffed, everything, and didn't get off one bit. But he's saying that was absolutely necessary. Okay. And it says, why does it matter? Prosecutors have argued he used, quote, excessive and unreasonable force and engaged in mentally dangerous behavior when he put his knee on a handcuffed George Floyd's neck and back, pinning him to the street in a prone position for over 9 minutes. So that's their thing. Oh, well, the police have a dangerous job. It looks that way. Now, this is the most hilarious argument they've made. When all else failed, they made this argument. Literally when all else failed. Now, this argument contradicts all the arguments they had beforehand, but they still made it anyway. Now, it says their third defense theory, brace yourselves for this. Their third defense theory is that bystanders who frantically called for Chauvin to get off of Floyd were potential threats and distracted him from caring for Floyd. Chauvin may not have done exactly as trained. Now, this third argument contradicts both their two opening arguments. That he was distracted. He's saying all of the bystanders telling him to get off of Floyd distracted him from getting off of Floyd. That is their third argument, that Derek Chauvin was distracted from getting off of George Floyd and giving him care because of all of the people around him who told him to get off of him, that he was distracted. When I tell you they throw everything at the wall to see what sticks, this is by definition. If you look in the dictionary and see what is throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks means, this should be the prime example. Derek Chauvin was distracted by the people telling him to get off. Okay. He was distracted. So it says, Chauvin may not have done exactly as trained, even though in their previous argument, they said he did exactly what he was trained to do for 19 years. In their second argument, they said he did exactly what he was supposed to do. In their third argument, they're like, well, maybe he did a little much, but he was distracted. It says the theory goes, but the crowd's hostility offers a non-criminal explanation. Why? Quote, they were screaming at them. Were they really? They were screaming at them, causing the officers to divert their attention from the care of Mr. Floyd to the threat that was growing in front of them, Nelson said in an opening statement. Y'all, let's just okay, listen. Then it says, why it matters. Chauvin's mindset and intent is key to each of the charges in this case. They're saying that Derek Chauvin was distracted, and the crowd that was yelling, get off of him, distracted him from getting off. It's so unrealistic. It's hilarious. This is how poor their argument is. No wonder he can't get an appeal. No wonder they keep having to circle back to it was the fentanyl. Now, here's the thing. In their third argument that let's just, connect the dots here. They're saying Derek Chauvin was distracted from getting off of George Floyd. So that's why his knee was on him for so long, because he was just distracted by the threat of the crowd, But by saying that, you have to admit that you being on top of him was the reason he suffocated. You have to admit that. Your third theory admits the fact that it wasn't fentanyl and it wasn't no pre-existing health condition. It was you, but you were distracted. This is what his paid attorney said, that Derek Chauvin was distracted. So you know, he was distracted. So no wonder his appeal got overturned. So when his appeal got overturned, he went back to prison. When he went back to prison, he wound up, let me show you this. Allegedly, we're going to say allegedly because, you know, there's some questionable things behind this. He wound up allegedly getting stabbed. Now, some people are saying alleged because of the fact that, you know, we haven't seen any video. We haven't seen any, you know, body cam footage or anything like that. So that's why they're saying alleged. Now it says Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer who was convicted of George Floyd's murder, was seriously injured on Friday after another inmate stabbed him inside a federal prison in Arizona. Damn. Derek Chauvin just can't catch a break. His appeal got overturned, and then the second he came back to the prison, like literally, if you look at the date, his appeal got overturned on the 20th, and what was it? The 25th, he was stabbed. So, like, within 1 week, y'all, literally within one single week, this man is just going through it, allegedly, right? It goes on to say the attack took place around 12:30 p.m. local time at a federal correction institution, Tucson, according to the Associated Press, which was the first to report the incident. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison also confirmed to the Star Tribune that Chauvin, 47, was stabbed but remains in stable condition. Okay, now here's the thing that some people are, well, you know what, let me read this and then we'll get to why some people are questioning the legitimacy of him being stabbed, because, you know, we have to look at everything from a third person point of view. It says, quote, "I am sad to hear that Derek Chauvin was a target of violence." Really? Ellison said. He was duly convicted. He was duly convicted of his crimes. And yeah, I don't believe he was duly convicted. I think, personally, this is my personal opinion, I think he got off easy. He got off too easy, according to me, in my personal opinion. He was duly convicted of his crimes, and like any incarcerated individual, he should be able to serve his sentence without fear of retaliation or violence. So they're caping. Oh, I'm so sad to hear that. I don't. No. I disagree. It continues to say, both the Bureau of Prisons and the FBI spokesperson based in Arizona confirmed to NPR that the inmate was assaulted at a federal prison on Friday, but neither agency would confirm it was Chauvin. So this is kind of the thing that makes people a little bit skeptical about it, because a lot of the headlines are saying Chauvin was stabbed, he was stabbed, but the FBI and the Bureau of Prisons are not confirming it was Chauvin, which, why not? If it was him, why are they not confirming it was him? You know, I mean, maybe, I guess you can say this is for further protection, but, you know, now, mind you, this was updated 2 days ago, so it might be confirmed today, but this is some of the reasons why people are saying that, I don't know, it's something fishy about it. So we have to say that. It goes on to say, the Bureau of Prisons added that, quote, life-saving measures were performed on this inmate. The inmate was later taken to a hospital for further evaluation and treatment. Excuse me. FCI Tucson, which oversees about 380 inmates, suspended visitations until further notice. It is not clear what prompted the altercation. Chauvin's attorney did not immediately respond to NPR's request for comment. In 2021, Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in state prison for George Floyd's murder. He also received a 21-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights. Chauvin was ordered to serve those sentences concurrently. The ex-officer appealed. Now, we were just literally talking about this. The ex-officer appealed the murder convictions in hopes of overturning the jury's verdict or reducing his sentence earlier this week. That appeal was rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court. Chauvin has also been seeking to overturn his federal civil rights conviction. Earlier this month, he filed a motion arguing that there is new evidence to suggest that he did not cause Floyd's death. Listen, the new evidence, they keep saying there's new evidence, y'all. There's new evidence. The new evidence is the exact same evidence that they have been using from day one. From literally day one, they've been using the exact same evidence. Hold on, no, wait, there was fentanyl. There was fentanyl in George Floyd's system, and he had a heart problem. So me strangling him is not how he died. Even though that's what the video shows, that's not really how he died. You don't know. You weren't inside his body. So that's not what happened. That's the exact same argument they've been using for 3 years. There is no new evidence. Goes on to say, Floyd, who was black, was killed on May 25th, 2020, during an attempted arrest. Chauvin, who was white, pinned Floyd to the ground and held his knee on Floyd's neck for several minutes. Floyd's death and the horrific way he died, which was captured on video, sparked massive protests across the country over racial injustice and police brutality. 3 other Minneapolis officers who helped with resisting Floyd were convicted of depriving Floyd his right to medical care. J. Alexander Kuhn, I believe it's pronounced, was sentenced to 3 years. Lord, that's the Asian dude. To 3.5 years, and Thomas Lane to 2.5 years. And in my personal opinion, all 3 of them got off light. All 3 of them got off light. None of them were sentenced to even 5 years. None of them even 5 years. So all 3 of them really got off light because they were aiding and abetting. They knew what they were doing. So this was the thing. He was stabbed. Allegedly. Now, here's what the thing is that somebody was stabbed. The FBI are not confirming it was him, but let's say for the sake of it being him, some people are making the argument that it could be staged. And let's be honest, he's been trying to appeal his conviction. He's been trying to overturn his conviction. He's been trying to knock his time down ever since he got in prison. He's 47 years old. He just went to prison a couple years ago. He just got sentenced a couple years ago. He's going to be in there for another couple of decades. Oh, so he's trying to get that knocked down. So his appeal is now trying to say, oh, it's so dangerous for him. It's so dangerous. So people have made the argument. I'm not necessarily saying whether it's true or not true, but people have made the argument that he might have had somebody stab him just so he can get some sympathy. Like, guys, prison is so dangerous. It's dangerous in here for me. Let me go. Let me free. People are saying that because most of the time when in prison, when people get shanked, you know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, those shanks don't end up in somebody having an immediate recovery. Being very, very honest. Most of the time you get shanked, even if you get stabbed, you're getting stabbed more than one time. They're not just shanking you and just keeping and pushing. They're shanking you enough times for you to die right then and there in a lot of cases. So I get in his case, he's probably high profile. They probably didn't have that much time. But that would happen. Most of the time, it would be in a torso area. You get somebody a good 5 times, stab them 5 times in the torso. The medical examiner is not going to say they have a high chance of recovery immediately. So it could be he was like, hey, just stab me one good time right here on the side. Don't make it too bad. You know what I'm saying? So I can get out of here. That's what people are alleging. And people are alleging the fact that, hey, justice does come. justice does come for people. We can talk about Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof, he got the hands put on him when he was in prison. Who was that other one? Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer faced prison justice and street justice when he was in there. So it's the thing of when the prison, you're Derek Chauvin, you murdered George Floyd. People know who you are. People know, everybody in the prison who sees you knows exactly who you are. It's not like people are like, what is he in here for? Everybody knows who you are. So it is not going to take too much for them to recognize your schedule when you go here, when you get off here, when the guards rotate their shifts. It don't take that much for people to get at you if they really wanted to. So it could be that, it could be that. Now I want to say this. Looking at the reaction, and I found this to be very interesting, the reaction that some of the people were having towards this situation. So check this out. This comes from Twitter or X, whatever you call it. It says, and somebody saying he wanted to be famous. The person who stabbed him might want the street cred. I mean, you stab Derek Chauvin, you're going to get some cred for that. So they might not be wanting to release the name because you might turn the person into a martyr. That's an argument as well, too. Now look at this. Look at the picture of these three suspected white supremacists. Now check out what this says. They lied about Kyle Rittenhouse. They lied about Daniel Penny. They keep lying about Derek Chauvin. They used deaths of criminals because they needed white villains to push racial division. If they were black, they wouldn't be in there. If they were black, they wouldn't be in here. He says here. Now, my first thing is, looking at this, Kyle Rittenhouse is not in prison. So where is here for Kyle Rittenhouse? Now, Kyle Rittenhouse is broke. He's broke as hell. Broke as a joke. I hear word on the street is, I'm not confirming, but I hear that he's applied for several different subways and all of his applications got shredded up on entry. So he's not in prison, but he is very, very poor. He's poor right trash, okay? He can't even pay his utilities at the trailer park. So he is, all right? But the thing is that these two men coincidentally strangled black men on camera to death. Both these men, Daniel Penny and Derek Chauvin, murdered at least one black person on camera. It was clear. So when you talk about, oh, they lied on him, they lied. There's no lie. There's no lie. And they're talking about the media wants white villains. Well, maybe if white people would stop killing black people and stop being the villain, the media wouldn't be able to make y'all the villain. The media is not making y'all the villain. It's your actions. Now, what else is interesting about this is that they like to claim the justice system did Derek so wrong. The justice system is corrupt. The justice system is corrupt. It was biased. The jury was biased against Derek Chauvin. He's innocent. I tell you, he's innocent. But when a jury acquitted Kyle Rittenhouse, they were like, well, that is the jury and you can't argue with the jury. And it was a jury of his peers and that's the legal system. And we just have to go with it because that is the law. You can't argue with the jury. It was the jury's choice and they made the right decision. It doesn't matter if you agree with it. You have to go along with it because that is the law. So when the jury acquits a white person, that's, that's just the way the law works and you can't change the law. The system isn't perfect, but it's the only system that we have and you just got to go along with it. But when the jury convicts a white person, this jury is biased. I'm telling you, they hate white people and they all want us to go to prison to create racial division. And I can't believe it. Derek Chauvin is innocent. He's a hero, actually. I can't believe it. So it's good when they want it to be good, and it's bad when they want it to be bad. Literally. But he wasn't the only person complaining. Oh no, he was not the only person complaining. I find this very funny. Look at this. This comes after the news of him being stabbed. Joey Moreno. That's your black and brown coalition for you. I don't know if he's like brown, like I don't think he's Hispanic. That sounds more like a Italian type of name, but you know, got a little bit of color to him. He is Italian. See, Italian. I knew it was Italian. Anyway, it says Derek Chauvin was just stabbed in prison. That man was done dirty from day one. The world wanted a scapegoat for the entirety of racial injustice and hung Derek out to dry. I hope he doesn't die. Wow. And then you got a whole bunch of people out here, right here. Hector, that's your black and brown coalition. Hector right here. I worked 10 years for the FBOP, 5 of them as lieutenant. I worked SIS and investigated many of these cases. I can tell you 99% of these cases were preeminent and not random. Follow the commissary money and you'll find the person who may have ordered the hit. So they're saying that it was a hit on Derek Chauvin. Now this girl, Real Stephanie, says they're going to kill him before he tells the truth. There was something not right about this whole story before he tells the truth. Last I checked, Derek, you know, he was in court. He had his day in court. He could have told the truth then. Why is it taking him so long to tell the truth? Why is it taking years for new evidence to come out? Why is it taking that long? He had his day in court. And then another person, now this comes, you know, there's always going to be a damn, hold on, look, a coon with it. And you just can't ignore the flag we see here. We just can't ignore that. Just can't ignore that flag that we see here. It says, Derek Chauvin was a sacrifice to the racist demons who wanted blood of a white man to appeal to their herd of minions who didn't really care about what really happened, but just wanted to even the score between whites and blacks. Thanks to the self-striving Democrat elites. Hold on, it continues. Thanks to the self-striving Democrat elites, everything is now good versus evil. Oh, wow. Can't ignore that flag there, though. Just saying. I mean, there's people who are very mad and livid, all right? This is an absolute disgrace that it is. The autopsy report, and we already talked about the autopsy. The autopsy report shows that George Floyd was on 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl and that he suffered no injuries from the restraint. Floyd was yelling, "I can't breathe," before he was even put on the ground. Floyd asked to be let. Hold on. I mean, this man really went off right there. Floyd asked to be let out of the car so he can get some air. And then he asked to be let out of the car so he can get some air. And then the cops let him out the car and then strangled him to death. That's what happened. And let me ask you a question. If somebody is having an asthma attack and they say, "I can't breathe, pass me my inhaler, I'm having trouble breathing, I have an asthma attack," and what you do is you put your knee on their neck and then they can't breathe and they die, would you say, well, hold on now, hey, he was having an asthma attack before I strangled him, so you can't say me strangling him was the reason he died, because he was dying before I strangled him. So like, let's come on, let's be real. He continues to say fentanyl causes the respiration system to shut down. He was just another one of the cardinal of China's victims. All right, China, okay. Like tens of thousands of other people who die from illegal fentanyl. It's too inconvenient, all caps, inconvenient for the government to admit that China is killing our people because they are worried about calling them out and will stop trade and wreck what's left for Biden's shitty economy. So there's a big conspiracy in George Floyd's death. George Floyd wasn't killed by Derek Chauvin. He was really killed by China. See, it goes deep. It's deeper than you think, y'all. It's China's fault. First off, literally, these people literally will tell a lie straight out. Just a blatant lie. It's unrealistic, the lie they'll tell. Derek Chauvin was distracted, is what the attorney's saying. And then what the people are saying, that no, it is the government who falsely incarcerated Derek Chauvin to protect China. Because China's the one who killed George Floyd, not Derek Chauvin. It's China's fault. It's the damn Chinese. They say stop Asian hate. I say continue it because they killed George Floyd. That's what they're saying. It says, he continues, they rather Chauvin be murdered in prison than admit China, the cartels, and the open borders is the problem. Wow. Why? Because they also know that if Chauvin is freed, then we will have another summer of hate. F those worthless cowards we have in government. This person was very passionate, very upset. He wasn't the only person upset, though. He was not the only person upset. There was another person who was very upset about the situation. Where can I find it? Right here. This is probably the biggest one. Right here. Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says, imagine going to prison because someone else overdosed on fentanyl. On top of that, getting brutally stabbed while serving a fake sentence. Oh no, ma'am, the sentence is very real. It's a very real sentence now. Let's not play games. The sentence is real. Now, the stabbing might not be, but the sentence is definitely real. It says, Derek Chauvin is an innocent, all caps, innocent police officer. I pray he comes out of this alive from this horrific incident. Now, what's interesting is they keep saying overdose, fentanyl, overdose. But didn't the lawyer himself literally said that Derek Chauvin was distracted? That was literally his argument, that Derek Chauvin was distracted from getting off of George Floyd because of the crowd telling him to get off of George Floyd. That's literally what he said. So, I'm going to go through some of the comments. And then she goes on to say, he gets stabbed right before his second trial. Very convenient. And actually, it kind of is on his behalf. Very convenient. Makes you wonder who's pulling all the strings. Ma'am, if they really wanted to get rid of George, if George Floyd had some type of assassination attempt, I can guarantee you it wouldn't have failed. Now, is it possible that somebody got at him in prison? Possibly. But if this was a government assassination attempt, it wouldn't have failed. It wouldn't have failed. I can guarantee you that. Now, there are a couple of people, seems like karma. So she's going back and forth with a couple of people. Somebody's like, he's innocent. Clearly he is. He was used as a pawn for BLM. Wow. the added context, because Twitter is like doing the added context. He was convicted by a jury of his peers. He was, and he was, he was that. So there she is. Free him, Lori. Free him. Absolutely agree. The results of Joe Biden's failed leadership. Praying for Derek. It says, the whole thing with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin is tragic. However, you may feel about Derek's guilty or innocent. No inmate deserves to be stabbed while in custody. No one deserves it. Love you. She says, love you in this message. Oh, Lord. Okay. So she has opposing views to it, but a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are very upset by it. Let me pull up this one thing. So I'm getting this thing real quick because there was another thing. Now, another thing, a lot of people in this, I literally just found this out today. That's why I had to pull it up like this. Derek Chauvin's family, his family is very upset. His family is quite upset. Derek Chauvin his family's still clueless over prison stabbing details. His family was outraged, especially what they said his mother. I don't know if this is the same report, but they are saying his mother was upset that they didn't know about their baby boy being stabbed. Oh my goodness. It says Derek Chauvin's loved ones who remain in the dark over what exactly led to him getting stabbed in prison, as well as his current condition, and they're furious over it. So says his lawyers. Attorney Gregory M. Erickson, who represents Chauvin, tells TMZ the guy's immediate family still knows absolutely nothing about Chauvin's stabbing, including how it happened and who did it. Oh no, that's his mom. Ew. Says Erickson says he spoke to one of Chauvin's relatives Monday and tells us a prison official contacted Chauvin's father to confirm he was in stable condition, but no further details were provided whatsoever, whether this which is frustrating the family. Obviously, the media has been all over the story, and the family has had to get their updates from news reports, which Erickson says is unjust and cruel. So Derek Chauvin's family isn't getting the direct information about their precious son's condition. They got to learn from the news. So they're on Twitter having to find out, like everybody else, about his condition. Damn. Now, they do this to black folks all the time. All the time they do this to black folks, and nobody says anything. No articles are made about it. Nobody says anything. The second they do it to a convicted killer, a convicted murderer, because that's what he is and who he is, now it's a problem. Goes on to he tells us he points the finger directly at the federal facility in Tucson, Arizona, where Chauvin is currently being held for being slow to the draw on updating the next of kin and for a lack of transparency in general. Not just this, but Erickson says the prison should have prevented this stabbing from happening in the first place, noting Chauvin is the most high-profile person in custody since arguably O.J. Simpson. Man, what does O.J. Simpson has to do with this? O.J. Simpson don't got nothing to do with this. They always try to throw a black man in there. O.J. Simpson ain't got nothing to do with this. Since arguably O.J. Simpson. No. And it's not, and they're trying to compare O.J. Simpson to this. O.J. Simpson didn't literally have the world the world, everywhere in the world, turning up. I'm talking about there were protests in Africa, some, um, some in everywhere in the world, some in Africa, some in China, some in the UK, all over the world. That's not what happened with OJ Simpson. So since arguably OJ Simpson, I don't know who's arguing that, TMZ. But it goes on to say, and that any other inmate getting near him should have been kept at bay, if not completely frisked, to make sure weapons stayed away. Now, in a lot of cases, you would think that the situation, and a lot of people are saying now OJ Simpson. What's interesting about OJ Simpson? OJ Simpson was with the case of the murder situation. OJ Simpson was acquitted of a jury of his peers. They say that's the way the law works. That's the way the law works. OJ Simpson was innocent. You're innocent until proven guilty. OJ Simpson was innocent. He was convicted of trying to steal his own personal items back, but he was innocent. So they're trying to compare both of the situations, and that's not the case. They're saying the inmate should have been frisked. Now, in a lot of high-profile cases, that is what happens. In a lot of high-profile cases, they would have him in solitary confinement. So that's why people argue that maybe Derek had this set up so he can get sympathy. Maybe it was like, just poke me enough for me to bleed, but not too bad. Not too bad. Just enough for me to bleed. That's it. That's all. Since the stabbing Friday, Gregory's ad, he attempted to contact prison officials 8 times to no avail. As far as next step, Erickson says he and the family will weigh their legal options if they don't get more answers soon, but it's unclear what those may be. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? What can you do, really? The Bureau of Prison Reps refused to discuss Chauvin's situation for privacy, safety, security reasons, but they noted to us, we can confirm you generally that the Federal Bureau of Prisons takes seriously our duty to protect the individuals entrusted in our custody, as well as maintain the safety of correctional employees in the community. They clearly don't take it that seriously, but okay, they say they take it serious. Chauvin is serving a lengthy season for more than 22 years behind bars after being convicted of murdering George Floyd. So, a lot of people are upset with this. And let me tell you why I named this double karma. It's back-to-back karma. Because let's say he faked this. Let's say this whole thing was staged. It was fake. He had somebody. Now, more than likely, he was stabbed. More than likely, it's not going to come out that it was an entire hoax and he wasn't stabbed at all and he's completely safe. With all of the evidence coming out, with the lawyers talking to the family and everything, he was stabbed at least one time. Where was he stabbed? Nobody's saying where he was stabbed, but he was stabbed. All right. But I want to show you, this goes to show how far we've come along. If we really take a look at this and look at this through a third person point of view, Derek Chauvin is a cop who murdered a black person. Now, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, a cop can murder a black person on camera, go to trial, and be acquitted and say, hey, well, he shouldn't have been resisting arrest. He had priors. What was he doing there? The cop was innocent. A cop's job is dangerous. They feared for their life. Time after time after time, we've seen black men be executed publicly on camera by police officers, and the police officers get acquitted. Derek Chauvin, because of the grassroots and what we have done, all of the being in the streets, all of the uprising, all of the everything we've done, we essentially were the force that forced them to make sure that they couldn't pull a okie doke on the community and that the trial needed to be fair and just. We were the ones who did that. So Derek Chauvin went to prison because of our resistance to make sure that there was justice done in the trial. Not the trial was biased, because the trial was not biased. You literally heard the defense's arguments. They literally didn't have any. Their defense's arguments is literally that Derek Chauvin was distracted. He was distracted from getting off of George Floyd because people were telling him to get off of George Floyd. So he was distracted. So he didn't have a defense. But the thing is that we're the ones who made sure that there was justice being done, and they knew it, that we can't just give the okie doke to them again, because we already know there's going to be consequences if we do. So they had to give him a just trial, and justly he was sent to prison. He tried to appeal and appeal and appeal. Now, this is something they're not used to. They're not used to first off, a cop going to prison for murdering a black person. They're not used to that. And then his appeal being denied and denied and denied and denied every single day. You know how in the prison on like the movies and stuff like that, they got like a little marker and they're scratching the wall, counting the days. He's counting the days. He got a calendar there. He's counting the days to his appeal. And he's all like, this is the day we're going to show new evidence. And this is the day I'm going to be free, or I'm going to knock some time down so I can go home. And every single day now it's gotten to the point. It's literally gotten to the point where the Supreme Court justice is saying, we're not even hearing your case anymore. Leave us alone. We have literally, because of our resistance, because of what we're doing and what we have done to provide black empowerment, now we're not done yet, but to provide the black empowerment that we have, the Supreme Court isn't even hearing his case out anymore. And then he's going back to prison and he's getting some justice. He's getting some street justice. Not that I condone violence, because of course I don't, but arguably that's that is prison justice. That's the justice they have in prison. And even if, let me tell you why it's karma, even if it was staged. Even if it was staged, the fact that he had to literally resort to faking a stabbing. He literally, do you know how desperate you have to be as a former police officer who served as a police officer for over 19 years? Over 19 years you served as a police officer, and now you're at the point where you resort to being stabbed so your appeal can be heard, not so you can get out of prison. He's literally at the lowest point in his life he has ever been. Derek Chauvin is at the lowest point in his life he has ever been, to the point where allegedly, whether it's a fake or not fake, but even if it was fake, he has to stage, because not like he was fake. It's not like it's fake blood, like I'm stabbed, please help me, and it's not fake. I mean, it didn't really happen. Somebody literally took a shank and literally stabbed him. He had to fake being stabbed or stage being stabbed so he can be heard. I submit to you that this is progress, and that's only if it was staged. That even if it was staged, that's still progress. And the thing is that it's being staged, and you have some people like, oh my God, I can't believe it, he got stabbed, that baby. You got people like that, but most of the people are like, that's what he gets. Most of the people, he thought being stabbed, if it was staged, but he thought being stabbed would sway the public's opinion on him and to get him some type of national sympathy, so he can go and he can use that to appeal to the Supreme Court, being all like, God, you see all the people, they care now. You don't want to look bad in front of all these people. Let me free, y'all. Let me free. But him being stabbed, if it was staged, him being stabbed has shown the opposite effect. Him being stabbed was like, good. That's what you're getting. Now patch him up and send him right back. That's what he's not even getting any sympathy. And now that's if he was it was staged. So if it was staged, you just set up you being stabbed for no reason. Now, if it's not staged, then that means that somebody got at you. And if somebody can get you once, you're in jail for 22 years. Oh, somebody can get you again. You might be on your P's and Q's now. Security might be tight around you now. But you think for the whole 22 years, security is going to be just as strict on you? No. Somebody's going to be able to get at you. Now, I want you to know, Jeffrey Dahmer was high profile. Somebody still got at Jeffrey Dahmer. Dylan Roof was high profile. Somebody still got at Dylan Roof. So, you're not untouchable. You're in there for 22 years. I can guarantee you guys know how when you in the dark and you just watch a scary movie or something and you get a little scared, especially when you're young, you get scared, you start hearing things like a little, the door cracks open a little bit. You're like, oh my God, what is that? Your hearing becomes like supersonic hearing. That's what Derek Chauvin is going through right now. I can guarantee you, if it was real, Derek Chauvin can hear a pin dropping from across the room. That's how scared he is. Oh, it would suck if he had to sleep on a top bunk. Imagine that. Can you just imagine Derek? He got like a patch on. And can you imagine him sitting there? Now he gets to go to the back of the line. Now, at first, you know how in prison, folks want to get in the front of the line because they want to get the best servings, the fresh, when it's nice and fresh. Derek is deliberately going to the back of the line because he doesn't want anybody behind him. He's going to the back of the line. You know how prison inmates used to like rush and eat their food because they didn't want anybody grabbing their food off their trays or fighting them with them? This man is literally eating his food as fast as he can. Hopefully it's not too fast because it might come out the hole that, wherever he was shanked. If he was shanked in his torso, his oatmeal might come out his stomach. You know what I'm saying? It might just go in and go straight out right there, not even digest. You don't know. So, he might have to eat slowly, keep that patch on. He might have to literally hold his stomach while he's eating so the food can go through his stomach. You know what I'm saying? It might be that. Can you imagine everybody outside lifting weights? And when it comes to prison, you have a thing where in prison you like by, I guess it's like some type of constitution thing, by minimum you got to be outside at least an hour, otherwise it would be classified as inhumane punishment. So you have to be outside for at least an hour. So can you imagine him being outside and everybody else is lifting weights or playing basketball and he just standing there on the wall? He's not even on the wall, he's standing in the corner so nobody can come from side to side, and he's just looking terrified. Imagine that being the case for 22 years. So the way I see it, it's a win. If it was staged, it's still a win because it's not like it's going to work. Him being staged ain't going to work because the public isn't galvanizing the way he would need it to in order for him, his stabbing to work if it was staged. And if it's not staged, that's good too, because now he's terrified of prison. Not that he wasn't before, but now he's literally scared. Listen, I can guarantee you he's probably scared of his own shadow. He's probably scared of his own shadow. I bet you know how when you're scared, like when you're a kid and you're scared of spiders, when you watch a scary movie, everything looks like a spider. I bet everything looks like a shank to him now. Everything looks like a knife. Everything looks like, imagine when he wakes up in the morning and he brushes his teeth and he steps back like, oh, no. And he realizes it's not a shank, it's a toothbrush. Imagine when they give him his serving, when they give him his plate and he has to pick up a fork and he's so scared of that fork because that fork has points on it. Just imagine that. It makes me joyful. It does make me happy. It puts a smile on my face to imagine that. So This is karma. Either way, it's karma. Either way, whether it's, I mean, I'm telling you, back to back L's. Because if you're so desperate to literally be heard, you have to stage being stabbed, not fake it, not fake it. You literally, somebody literally had to stab you so you can be heard. Can you imagine that? He's in a corner. He was like, okay, just do it. Just stab me. Just do it. He's got his eyes closed. He's got his hand in his mouth like, oh, just do it. And somebody just shanks him one time. He's like, oh, no. Oh, please. Can you imagine that? Somebody just pokes him one good time. And then you hear from your attorney like, hey, yeah, nobody cares. Yeah, I know we said this would work, you know what I'm saying? I know it really hurts, but nobody cares. Sorry. My bad. I thought it would work. It worked on that one TV show I watched. My bad. Nobody cares. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine him on the phone being all like, I gotta go back to prison and I fake being stabbed and nobody cares? Can you imagine that? That sucks. And that's if he faked it. If he didn't, boy. What happened once can happen again. What happened once can happen again. I think, and this just goes to show you how much things have changed. We have to take moments like this, and we have to really reflect on the progress we've made, because sometimes we work so hard and we're so studious with what we've done, and we're very consistent and progressive, that we don't really have the time to reflect on our accomplishments and how far we've come. And we see things like this, and it's time for us to take a step back and for us to look at the progress that's being made. And this gives us a sense of motivation, that even though we still got a lot of work to do, even though there's still a lot of work to do, you know, progress is coming. Because I see this situation as progress. It's karma to me. And karma is progress. Because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, we didn't have this. Literally 5 years ago, we weren't having this. Or 5 years before 2020, especially. We weren't having this. So this is progress, y'all. This is progress. I'm here for it. I definitely am. Now, another thing, before we get off, shout out to every single last one of you guys for that. I want to show you guys, if you guys haven't seen it, I don't know how you have not, but yes, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Dr. Clyde Winters book signing / Q&A. He's not just signing a book, but we're also going to be having a full-blown discussion about what's in his book. We're going to be having a discussion about how his book relates to situations permeating in Chicago especially, but really in America. You know, as far as the reparations movement, as far as the immigrant invasion, illegal invasion, really. So this is going to be a very, very good event that you guys should bring your entire family to. It's on the 10th next month. You guys definitely want to bring the kids. It's on the 10th from 1 to 4. This is the location. I posted this before. You can go to my community tab. You can go to my Twitter. I'm probably going to make a post on Instagram. I put this in my story on Instagram, which you guys should be following me on my social media. Definitely, if you guys are in the area, even if you guys have to travel for a little bit, I would love to see you guys for this event. All right. We have to do a thing where, and the reason why I'm doing this, the reason why is because our ancestors, our elders, don't get enough recognition. And we're changing that now. Before, we weren't like that. We let them work until they die. And then after they die, then we start to recognize their work, recognize how wise they were, how ahead of their time they were, and we appreciate them when it's a little bit too late. A lot of people appreciate Dr. Frances Cress Welsing now, but she's not here with us anymore. A lot of people appreciate Dr. Ben now, but he's not here. A lot of people appreciate Huey Newton now, but he's not here. Fred Hampton now, but he's not here. Dr. John Henry Clark now, but he's not here. Malcolm X now, but he's not here. Dr. King now, but he's not here. So we have a thing in our community that we're changing, and it's a good thing that we're changing this. We have a thing that we're changing of appreciating our ancestor after they left, after they're not here anymore. And we're starting to change that now. All right. And this is one of the things that I would like to do, because we need to start giving people their flowers while we still can give them their flowers. Okay. This is why I love to have Dr. Randy Short on, so he can still give us the knowledge that he has. He can still talk to the community, and he can still spread his message that he has. You know what I'm saying? This is why I love to have Dr. Winters on, so we can still appreciate the gem that these doctors are while we have them. This is why, you know, when Dr. Kaba does events, people love to go to those events, because these people have dedicated their life to studying situations, to studying Black history, Blackness, the system of white supremacy in ways that most people haven't. This is why even Neely Fuller Jr., you know, even though he doesn't really move around that much, he's in his 90s. This is why he's still a gem. Now, why the second he does an interview, it stops everything. Even Farrakhan, when Farrakhan does a speech or interview or anything like that, and he's, you know, he's up in age, you know what I'm saying? Let's be realistic. Even being realistic, he's a mortal man, like all of us are, mortal men and women. So it's going to be a point in time when he won't be here with us. And that's unfortunate to say. But we see that the community is not sitting up there letting them work until they die, make all these books, make all these speeches, do all this work, do all this activism, and then they pass away. Then the next generation after them starts picking up on the books, picking up on the knowledge, picking up on the wisdom, and then starts appreciating that. Because let's be honest, even though Dr. John Henry Clark is here, Dr. John Henry Clark was essentially abandoned by his peers. His work was essentially abandoned by his peers. His legacy. It was only until the next legacy after him really started appreciating the next legacy, and then the legacy after them really started appreciating their work. For instance, Dr. Randy Short. You know what I'm saying? It was really the next generation after him. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. It was the next generation after her. Their generation was calling what she was doing pseudoscience. They were saying, "Oh, that's pseudoscience. That's not true. That's get out of here with that. That nonsense. That's pseudoscience." They were calling what they were talking about pseudoscience. It was only until the generation after their generation that they were in, their peers. It was the generation after their peers that really started to appreciate their wisdom and their words and their work and their activism. And then the generation after that started passing that baton down. So it's time for us to really show homage while we still can, you know. And this is a good way to bridge the gap between the younger generation who are still up and coming and seeking for the knowledge, and the elders that the few of them that we do have, the elders that we do have, who want to pass this knowledge down, who literally want to pass the generational knowledge and legacy down to the next generation, because that's what all elders want. All elders want to pass their legacy down, want their legacy, want their work, want their life work to be remembered after they go. And they want to be able to have an honorable end to their life. That all of them do. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, in our community, most of them don't get that chance. But we are starting to change that, and that is a very good thing. So it's very important that we show up to this, not even for Dr. Winters himself, not for me, but for the principle of honoring people who have put in the blood, sweat, and tears to making books, to educating, to making the sacrifices that has given the knowledge, the wisdom, and the guidance for us to continue our path. You know what I'm saying? So we're really changing the status quo of how we used to treat our legends, our living legends. We're changing that status quo, and that's a beautiful thing. So it would be very good if everybody who's in the Chicago area, around it, anybody who might want to make that travel that day, if you have to drive a couple of hours just so you can meet up with the family, so we can have conversation. There's going to be food there, you know, refreshments. Not going to be like cater food, but there's going to be refreshments there. You know, we're going to get there. We're going to talk. You're going to be able to network with other brothers and sisters who are like-minded. It's going to be a very good event, very positive, very constructive event. You can bring your kids there. It's going to be very beneficial for everybody to go to. And I humbly invite every single last one of you all. It's on the 10th, next month on the 10th. So mark your calendars from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So it's at that time. And this is the location. It's 4801 South Michigan Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60615. So there it is. Now, with that being said, my brothers and sisters, I want you guys to what is this? Oh, yeah. Also, my social media, for those of you guys who are not following me, my social media is Afro Elite on Instagram and then the Afro Elite on Twitter. So that is in the description below. You guys can go to the description below. Just click that. It'll take you directly to the apps, and you guys can be following me there. Please do not forget, before you leave, though, hit that subscribe button if you guys have not subscribed already. Hit that like button if you have not done so already, and the notification bell, because all of that helps the algorithm. All of that helps. We are on a path. We are so very close. We have a little bit of time. We have a little bit over a month to get to that 10K goal. We are so very close. All right. All we need is some consistency and the growth, and we will make it there. We will make it there. I believe it in my deepest spirits that I believe this. I without a shadow of a doubt, I genuinely believe it. And I believe it because we have accomplished more than this, and we can accomplish more than this. This is not a unsurmountable obstacle for us. Okay, it's not. This is a very obtainable goal. Very, very obtainable. It's less than 1,000. So we can get there. All we need is that consistency. All we need is the brothers and sisters who show up to leave a like, to leave a comment, to share this, to recommend this to a family or a friend or whatever. That's all we need, and we will get there. I guarantee it. So, and I appreciate so much. There's so much I want to do. I'm going to have a celebration thing. You know how I got the call thing set up, so we're going to have a celebration. I'm already talking about the celebration for the 10K. I'm already talking about it. We're going to have a celebration thing where we're going to have calls. We're going to have live call-ins, and we're going to talk about everything that we've done throughout the year. It's going to be such a beautiful thing. I can't wait to the way we have to end this year off. I got so many ideas going through about how we're going to end this year, how we're going to start the next year. I got so many good ideas. So I cannot wait to that 10K goal. So thank you, brothers and sisters, for that. I appreciate you sincerely. Now, with that being said, that means I have to be consistent. So I got to get off here because I got more work to do. And with that being said, my brothers and my sisters, be one salute to every single last one of you all. And of course, you all have a good one.